A mere $7, a paltry sum that impossibly fueled this Rock's relentless conquest of Hollywood's towering peaks. From the thunderous roar of the WWE ring, where he reigned as the most beloved wrestler, Dwayne Johnson didn't merely step into a wider arena, he exploded onto the silver screen. Not for fleeting amusement, but to seize the undisputed throne as the world's highest-grossing film superstar. The Rock stands as the most unyielding testament to the adage, "From nothing, an empire is forged." Yet true to his formidable name, beneath that rock-solid facade, his career now reveals deep, jagged fissures hidden from the adoring masses. These are the bitter feuds that erupted with his co-stars, the relentless interference in film productions as if he were the director himself. The cherished title of friendly star has been usurped by a darker moniker, Mr. Control Freak, a puppet master willing to twist truths and manipulate narratives over the most trivial details, all to safeguard his meticulously crafted image. This is Niosu, where we unearth the hidden, shadowy corners of the internet. Today, we peel back the layers of the unsettling truth behind the perfect mask The Rock has painstakingly forged for years. Is this Rock truly as unyielding as he appears, or are deep cracks already forming within? Dwayne Johnson, forever known as The Rock, born on February 2, 1972, is an American actor, businessman, film producer, and professional wrestler. His ascent to the wrestling ring was no accident. A glance at his lineage reveals our Rock was, in fact, born of wrestling royalty. His father, Rocky Johnson, was no mere grappler, but a legend in WWE. And his mother, Ata Johnson, was the daughter of the revered Peter Maivia, the High Chief of the wrestling world. Dwayne Johnson's genetic blueprint, we assure you, is nothing short of elite. Let us cast a shadow on his father. Professional wrestling in those days offered no lavish wealth. Rocky Johnson endured a life of grim itinerancy, often on the road for 12 to 15 days a month. But Rocky was also a cautionary tale, a dark shadow cast upon his son's future. He engaged in rampant philandering in every town he visited. The climax arrived when young Dwayne, in a desperate act of defiance, stole a credit card from one of his father's mistresses, charging a staggering $3,000, an astronomical sum at the time. Dwayne's relationship with his father spiraled further when Rocky Johnson was accused of raping a 19-year-old girl in Tennessee. Rocky vehemently maintained it was a setup to sabotage his career, but the grim consequences of his unchecked desires were inescapable. He found himself blacklisted and soon retired. Following this scandal, Rocky Johnson's life spiraled into a devastating abyss of heavy drinking. This only intensified the already fractured bond between Dwayne and his father, stretching it to its breaking point. The true tragedy struck when Dwayne was just 14. His family was evicted from their apartment, unable to pay rent. Suddenly, he was forced to grow up, far too young. He and a few other teenagers formed a clandestine enterprise, dealing in expensive diamond and gold jewelry, luxury watches, and designer clothes. Their operation was chillingly professional, brazenly pilfering from unsuspecting tourists, only to resell the stolen goods to others at a lucrative discount. By 17, he admitted to being arrested nearly a dozen times. His life then offered no visible escape route. A pivotal turning point arrived when his family moved to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. There he met a mentor, a second father, Coach Jody Quick. Through the brutal discipline of sports and Coach Quick's relentless guidance, Dwayne began a profound transformation. His grades improved.
Not content with the football field, Dwayne also excelled in track and field and, of course, wrestling. During this period, he even earned a full scholarship to the University of Miami, but it wasn't enough. The cutthroat world of college football was far more brutal. He was no longer the standout teenager he'd been in high school. Upon graduation, not a single NFL team offered him a contract. His NFL dream shattered, leaving him with only $7 in his pocket.
Yet, fate, it seems, never truly abandons anyone. He returned home, seizing the last desperate opportunity available to him, to become a professional wrestler. After committing to wrestling, Dwayne was relentlessly trained by his father, Rocky Johnson, alongside WWE producer Pat Patterson. They pushed him to the very brink of his endurance, ensuring he understood the unforgiving nature of his chosen path. Or perhaps his lineage paved a somewhat smoother road. Thanks to Pat's quiet recommendation and the formidable name Rocky Maivia, Rocky from his father and Maivia from his grandfather, Dwayne was given an unprecedented push by WWF, despite his near-total lack of experience. Naturally, the sudden meteoric rise of such a legacy talent, seemingly bypassing the natural order, ignited a furious backlash. In every match, Dwayne was met with a thunderous chorus of boos and jeers. Audiences utterly rejected the saccharine, perfectly virtuous persona he portrayed. Consequently, he took a hiatus to redefine his identity. In 1997, Dwayne returned. This time, he shared the Rocky Maivia persona entirely, transforming into The Rock, an entirely new entity, arrogant, sharp-tongued, a master of psychological warfare against his foes. The Rock swiftly ascended to become a colossal superstar in WWE. Audiences began to respect, even crave his electrifying presence. Bold and iconic, he became one of the most beloved figures in wrestling history.
As we know, WWE is scripted entertainment. Recognizing the formidable power of his on-screen persona, Dwayne realized he could translate that performance style to television and film. He began appearing in shows like That 70s Show, Star Trek Voyager, and even Saturday Night Live. Then came his cinematic debut, portraying the Scorpion King in The Mummy Returns, earning him a colossal sum of $5.5 million, an unheard-of fortune. He even landed his own feature film, The Scorpion King, in which he starred, grossing over $180 million at the box office. However, wrestling fans resented his pivot to acting, and his subsequent films began a precipitous decline in both box office performance and critical acclaim. At this precarious moment, both The Rock's wrestling and film careers teetered on the brink. Facing this crisis, The Rock made a decisive move. He would return to WWE once more, but this time with a new persona, Hollywood Rock. He unleashed even more scathing insults upon the audience and fellow wrestlers. He even created rock concerts, strumming a guitar and mocking the audience with biting lyrical jabs. Once again, he soared to the zenith of WWE. But by then, he was over 30 and no longer wished to risk his body. He decided to fully commit his career to acting. Yet the serious, profound style Dwayne attempted to bring to cinema at this juncture simply didn't resonate. So he transitioned again, from The Rock back to Dwayne Johnson. If The Rock was an arrogant, aggressive muscle monster, Dwayne Johnson presented a completely different image, friendly, perpetually smiling, kind, and charismatic. This marked his shift to family-friendly children's films. His first Disney film, The Game Plan, grossed over $140 million on a mere $22 million budget, leading to more films in the same genre. By now, Dwayne Johnson was earning more money than he had ever dared to imagine. But his dream was not just to accumulate wealth, it was to become a true cinematic icon.
Then came the role that irrevocably cemented his name in Hollywood legend, Luke Hobbs in the Fast and Furious franchise. The film raked in $600 million, more than double the previous installment's gross, injecting a vital new pulse into the entire series. The Fast and Furious brand, once a tale of street racing culture, transformed into one of the grandest action sagas ever conceived. Critics and audiences alike lauded Dwayne's performance, attributing much of the franchise's resurrection to him. To this day, many critics and fans still consider this the pinnacle of the entire series. Success continued with Fast and Furious 6, grossing over $800 million. This was the dawn of Dwayne Johnson's Hollywood reign. In 2013 alone, his films, Snitch, Pain and Gain, G.I. Joe Retaliation, and Fast and Furious 6 collectively stormed the box office, grossing over $1.3 billion. By 2014, he starred in Hercules, which grossed over $250 million. Dwayne even made a brief return to WWE, featuring in a renowned confrontation with John Cena. What truly fueled Dwayne's success was his unyielding work ethic and the profound respect he showed his colleagues. He was heralded as one of the easiest people to work with on set. At that time, everyone adored working with him. This very quality propelled Dwayne to unprecedented heights, and now the only force capable of halting his ascent was himself.
In 2016, his involvement in the Fast and Furious saga launched his career to an entirely new stratosphere. But it was also here that the first ominous cracks began to appear. Dwayne clashed fiercely with co-star and Fast and Furious producer Vin Diesel. After filming Fast and Furious 8, Dwayne posted on Instagram, subtly but pointedly criticizing his male co-stars. He wrote, "My female co-stars are amazing and I love them. My male co-stars, however, are a different story. Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others do not. The ones who don't are spineless cowards, too terrified to act." He swiftly deleted the post, but the internet's memory is eternal. Questions swirled. Who was Dwayne targeting? According to internal sources who worked on the film, it was confirmed he was referring to Vin Diesel. Some sources claimed Dwayne was displeased with Vin Diesel's dominant control and retaliated by arriving late or even skipping set entirely. Their relationship deteriorated to such an extent that they couldn't be on set simultaneously. In many scenes, the crew resorted to using body doubles. Essentially, it was a titanic clash of alpha egos warring for supremacy. However, Vin Diesel chose silence until the film was completed. He later explained, "My approach then was a form of tough love to help everyone achieve their best performance." Not only Vin Diesel, but The Rock also had a public spat with Tyrese Gibson. Tyrese erupted in frustration when The Rock pursued a separate spin-off film, delaying the next Fast and Furious installment. That film was Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. The decision to spin off a new character like Hobbs into his own film led many to believe The Rock was attempting to commandeer the franchise, turning it into his personal stage. Despite the controversy, the film grossed approximately $700 million on a budget of $200 million. Yet for many longtime fans, this film had strayed far from the spirit of Fast and Furious. The franchise, once a gritty tale of customized cars and family, had devolved into an unrecognizable hybrid, a bewildering fusion of superheroics and explosive machinery, utterly devoid of its original grounded soul. This left many fans feeling the franchise had lost its core identity. Tyrese took to Instagram, writing, "Congratulations to The Rock for making Fast and Furious his own story." The Rock immediately retorted with a venomous counter-assault targeting Tyrese's music album. But regardless of the personal clashes, Hobbs and Shaw was a monumental success at the box office. Over the next few years, Dwayne maintained his successful streak with films like Baywatch, Central Intelligence, Jumanji, Rampage, and Skyscraper. By this point, none of his films earned less than $100 million at the box office. He became the 16th highest-grossing actor in cinematic history, with a total box office revenue exceeding $11.3 billion. However, his roles became almost indistinguishable. Dwayne seemed to Control-C, Control-V every character he played. Look at these 4 images. What if I told you these were 4 distinct movie stills?
Yet, after his undeniable successes and the unwavering support of his audience, Dwayne Johnson officially ascended to the pinnacle of Hollywood, carried by their adoration. But with the colossal scale of his success, his ego swelled to an equally monstrous size. Around 2019, reports surfaced revealing a chilling clause in Dwayne's film contracts. His character was never permitted to lose a fight, regardless of the film. "I am your father," the unspoken decree seemed to command, "and you are my children. You will never defeat me." If he was in the film, he won. Audiences flocked to theaters not to witness his struggle, but to merely anticipate the villain's inevitable defeat. But all of that paled in comparison to his foray into the superhero realm of DC. Dwayne Johnson did not merely see this as another role. To him, it was a golden opportunity to seize the very heart of an entire cinematic universe. The Rock, it seemed, intended to reforge that entire system around himself, and that role was Black Adam. During the film's promotion, The Rock repeatedly emphasized Black Adam as the most powerful figure in the DC universe. "He is the most powerful and unstoppable force in the entire universe. Black Adam has all the powers of Superman, but Superman won't kill because he has a code of honor and a code which we appreciate and love. Black Adam will kill you."
According to multiple industry sources, The Rock had 2 grand objectives for this project. The first was to elevate Black Adam to the absolute center of the DC universe. The second was to completely sever the ties between Black Adam and Shazam. This was rather ironic, as in the comics, Black Adam was little more than a supporting antagonist in Shazam's narrative. To achieve this, The Rock made a surprising announcement. He personally convinced Warner Bros. To elevate The Return of Superman, a beacon of hope, a long-awaited salvation for fans starved for their hero. Yet, this cinematic resurrection was tragically short-lived, a mere whisper before the thunderous collapse. Black Adam, heralded with such fanfare, plunged into a financial abyss, barely scraping $387 million globally. Experts whispered grim prophecies. A staggering $600 million was the lifeline, a figure it would never reach. The film hemorrhaged between $50 and $100 million, a devastating blow, a public execution of DC's grand ambitions and Dwayne's master plan. The seismic aftershocks rippled through Warner Bros., tearing down the old order. A new regime rose from the ashes, and with merciless efficiency, they obliterated The Rock's ambitious blueprint for Black Adam. But defeat was a bitter draught he refused to swallow. Defiantly, he brandished numbers, a desperate attempt to rewrite history, to claim triumph where only ruin lay. Profits, he declared, between $52 and $72 million, a mirage, a cruel deception. The truth, a venomous serpent, soon uncoiled. His boasted figures were fabrications, fed by him and his entourage to an unwitting press. He merely donned the cape, a hollow shell of heroism. Accept the fall, learn from the wreckage. Why this insatiable hunger to be the victor, always? Yet even stripped of his dominion in the pantheon of heroes, his ego remained unbroken, his ambition unquenched. His next conquest, the festive season, with Red One. But the set became his personal fiefdom. Hours late, days absent, the entire production machine ground to a halt, enslaved to his erratic whims. Scenes reshot, schedules torn asunder, all because of one man's colossal disregard. Whispers, then shouts of an almost unthinkable indignity, relieving himself into a water bottle, then ordering a subservient assistant to dispose of the evidence, too grand to deign into a mere restroom. A grotesque rumor, confirmed by his own dismissive laughter. Red One's production bled money, a staggering $50 million beyond its initial $200 million budget. The release date, once a fixed star, drifted aimlessly from December 2023 to 2024. When it finally limped into theaters, it earned a paltry $189 million against a bloated $250 million cost. For a man whose image was meticulously crafted perfection, this was a public unraveling. The carefully constructed facade crumbled, revealing the stark truth, a star whose ego and personal gain dwarfed all else. His true priorities, once veiled, now shone with brutal clarity. He was no mere actor, he was a brand, a colossal entity, consuming all in its path. His digital empire, a colossal edifice built on sculpted muscle and curated health, commanded the gaze of over 395 million souls, positioning him among the world's elite. With such unparalleled reach, he could peddle anything: energy drinks, gym gear, his very own Terramana tequila, lauded by Forbes as a meteoric celebrity brand. Yet this blinding halo began to dim, his very presence morphing into a walking billboard. The prophecy came to pass. He became the product, a relentless advertiser. A chilling 75% of his Instagram presence became overt promotion, igniting an insidious question: was the man himself as artificial as the myriad endorsements he peddled? Critics whispered, then openly questioned the very fabric of his Herculean physique. Too perfect, too unnatural, they murmured. While definitive proof eluded them, the shadow of suspicion of continued steroid use clung to him like a shroud. A pattern emerges, stark and unsettling, a relentless, desperate pursuit of universal adoration, whatever the cost to truth. Consider the bizarre saga of In-N-Out. In 2017, he declared, "I've never been to In-N-Out before." 5 years later, in August 2022, the same proclamation echoed, a baffling déjà vu. Then, in December 2023, the charade reached its zenith. Again, the first time, this time embellished with a performance of utter ignorance. I don't know how to order, where to pay, who to pay. A theatrical flourish, followed by self-congratulatory praise for tipping staff, a detail no one requested. Only later, perhaps sensing the rising tide of ridicule, did he amend it to "my first In-N-Out experience." A sheepish addendum followed, "Thanks to fans for reminding me I've been to In-N-Out many years ago and completely forgot." Whether genuine amnesia or calculated deception, one truth became painfully clear: his ardent fans had begun to forget. The formidable, trash-talking titan of the wrestling ring, the charming, charismatic Dwayne Johnson, both faded into oblivion, replaced by a hollow echo, an actor consumed by an insatiable ego, a solitary god in his own cinematic universe, his self-importance reaching for the heavens.